Okay, the purpose of this video is to introduce you, or the next few videos in this chapter actually, are to introduce you to the high-level features of Microsoft's Azure Machine Learning Studio. Just so you know, what I'm going to cover is actually already available right here, and they have a series of 5 videos that they're going to do the exact same thing in. The only difference is I have a couple of data sets that if you've been taking this course, you've been using these data sets all along, and I'd like to teach these same things but using the data set that you're already familiar with, so that we can keep things consistent. So anyway, just so you know, these are also here if you want to take a look at those. So first of all, I'm going to assume that you've already created your Azure account. If you can't, or if you haven't, I guess maybe I better show you just in case. So I'm going to go here to Azure Machine Learning Studio. What you want is this most popular free workspace for now. The reason why we teach Azure ML Studio in this class is partly because we have this option. Amazon Web Services is a competitor to Azure. They're both really good. They do have some features that are different, but for the most part they perform the same primary functions. I like Azure simply because we have this free option right here, although AWS is a little less expensive in production and as you scale it. However, we don't have the free option. So sign up here, create your account, and let's go ahead and sign in. Okay, so first thing you'll see here, let's make some extra room. All right, we have high-level projects that encompass many experiments. We're going to start with just basically one experiment. We'll create individual experiments, and we're not going to group them in projects just because we don't need to. We're not going to be creating that many for this class, but it's a useful feature to create a project and then be able to assign experiments to projects just for organization purposes. Web services, we'll get to this later in the class. Depending on what your role is, you may or may not learn this in the course. My MBA students, they'll learn how to export and create the web services, but they're not going to consume them. The information systems students, both undergrads and masters, will not just make the experiments, but they'll learn how to export and consume the web services in a system. So I'm hoping that before this chapter, you've already gone through this one on the crisp data mining methodology. So up until now, we've been spending most of our time on data understanding and a little bit of data preparation. So although both of these phases in the data mining methodology can be helped with Azure Machine Learning Studio, what we've done so far has been in Tableau and in Excel to kind of build you up and get you ready. And we're going to use Azure ML Studio mostly for some data preparation, but mostly for modeling, evaluation, and deployment. Like I say, some students will go only as far as deploying an API. Others will actually then consume the API in a system that's going to use it. So let's go back to Azure here. The first thing, or the next thing I want to show you is how to get and use data. So let's go click on data sets right here. Oh, I'm sorry, by the way, I want to show you, while we're here on experiments, these are 3 that I've created or pulled in from Microsoft Samples. Click here on Samples, and you're going to see they've given a bunch of different examples of experiments using different techniques, different algorithms. There's lots of different types of look, here's clustering like we did earlier, but lots of different types of predictive techniques. Some of them are comparable, others are not. Anyway, come down here to data sets. Currently we have none. I've got my new option down here. What I want you to do is grab the, well, first of all, notice if I'm going to click and connect to a data set from a local file, I have only a couple of options, or a few here. Notice CSVs, TSVs, text files, zip, R. This will be useful if you continue on, take my advanced course. We'll cover how to pull in R data. But I can't just pull in an Excel file. So I can't upload that bike buyer's data set just yet. So we're going to have to save it as a CSV. Let's do that now. So head back to My Educator. Let's go to Chapter 3.3, Introduction to Azure ML Studio. Scroll down and right here, okay, Introduction to Azure, we want to grab this bike buyer's data. That is showing up down here below. Sorry, I've got to move this just so I can click on it. and then back up. Okay, let me pull it in the screen. So we have, remember, the original data here, where it's a mix of numeric, somewhat ordinal, and categorical data. The great thing about Azure Machine Learning Studio is that it can handle any of these data types. Before, I had this numeric sheet here so that we could do some basic regression in Excel and use some of the variables that were ordered but categorical before, like education, for example. Education has an order to it, but Excel's simple linear regression tool can't handle categorical, can't handle text. So we changed it to this education numeric version. Same thing with marital status. We converted to a binary variable. Gender, same thing. Purchase bike, yes or no, same thing. We're going to continue to use this sheet right here, the numeric one, because I want to show you the difference in quality, predictive quality, between treating some factors like education as a category versus ordinal. So let's go ahead and save this Excel file with numeric selected. File, save as, I'm going to convert it to a CSV. So click here on File Format. There's down here, oh, you can't quite see it. Let's see if I can fix this. What I want is not this CSV UTF-8, although it may not matter at all. I want this one down here, generic CSV. And let's save this, bike buyers, there we go, .csv. Save it somewhere. It says, this workbook cannot be saved in the selected file format because it contains multiple sheets. Save active sheet means it's just going to ignore and forget about these other two tabs. Perfectly fine. Hit save. Because this is still open in my computer's RAM or memory, it's still showing these, but the file I just saved only has numeric. So close that out. I can hit don't save now because I've already saved my version of it. Let's come back here into datasets of Azure ML Studio and let's add the bike buyers dataset. So from local file, choose a file. Let's go to where we just saved that. I believe, is this my CSV? Yeah. Here's the bike buyers CSV. Open. Perfect, and it auto-detected. It's a generic CSV file, a header. Awesome. Check. So it's uploading. We just chill for a minute. Notice down here you'll always have this indication of tasks, number of tasks currently being performed. Because this is a cloud service, it's using Microsoft servers to perform this processing, not our own RAM and processor. Anyway, this is finished. Okay, here's our data set. Let's stop here for now. And then move on in another video with actually creating an experiment.